Now let us not pretend that we are practicing medicine here, because we are not. That would be pure charlatanry. What I propose here is the intersection of physiology and magic. I once had an opportunity to remove some meat parasite by Varia energy from the thyroid glands of a person without violating her skin. In other words, it was non-intrusive method of destroying that parasite and ejecting it from her body that released her thyroid glands, and she went back to full health in a couple of weeks. Today I had a parasite and nasty meat kind of cluster within my heart that caused tremendous heart pains that I managed to isolate and destroy and eject it outside of my body. Now, medicine is very important. However, in some cases, when such parasites get into your system, it happens that they cause prolonged pathologies of the human organism and destroy the homeostasis that may end up badly for your organs, for your organism, for your general health. First things first, let us remember not playing witch doctors, but medicine first. This is merely a proposition to take consideration of for some healers, perhaps, that cooperate first things first with doctors. So, predation and parasitism across the planes, a comparative study of faunal behavior, astral entities, and human psychospiritual dynamics. This article in no way covers advanced theological ontologies, beauty, humaneness, ethos, and such, magical technologies, and structured philosophies of metaphysics, not to mention evolutionary neurobiology intersecting with the occult arts in certain manner. It is merely covering an aspect, a category of the world directly concerning this particular interest point that may sometimes influence human behaviors and organisms biochemically, or, for example, ionotropic conductivity, electric conductivity in the system. I covered it in some psycho-spiritual maladies that may result in mental illnesses in the past that have no organic basis, and the etiology of them is unknown. The thesis that gods do not contradict nature suggests that both divinity and spirituality unfold within the constraints and patterns of biological, physical, and ecological laws that we know. This article explores the parallels between biological parasitism and predation found in animals, insects, and fungi, and their astral and psychospiritual counterparts in human behaviors. Drawing from tantric, neuroevolutionary, and occult frameworks, we explore how flesh demons, energetic parasites, and astral viruses mirror the behavior of natural species in nature, especially where human beings divorced from direct contact with those wild ecosystems, not seeing them, not experiencing them in a direct manner, sensoric, tactile, or energetic, become susceptible to similar energetic patterns in very subtle form. As we know, the world is indivisible, so is the world of nature and form. We argue that the ecology of the astral world is isomorphic to that of the natural world, and that understanding natural law is foundational to spiritual sovereignty. That is Philosophia Naturalis, back to the old caveat. Introduction. Nature operates without error. The tiger, hungry, hunts the wandering monk and devours him. The parasitic fungus invades an ant, puppeteers its body, and bursts from its skull to reproduce. Humans, largely isolated from the cycles of nature by civilization, believe themselves immune to such forces, yet within astral and psychic realms, similar processes continue. Hello, spider darling, spider demon, serpent, in its spidery way, through the perspective of a shadow spider, which mirrors the nervous system of a spider. Weird. Kind of like each other. Okay. That understanding natural law is foundational to spiritual sovereignty. Okay. This paper explores how parasitism, predation, and reproductive manipulation manifest not only in biology but also in the energetic architecture of human beings. Biological parasitism and behavioral hijacking, biopsychological, behavioral. Parasitism is a sophisticated control system where parasites manipulate hosts' behavior to ensure their survival and reproduction. Think also possessions, emanations, and so on and so on. This manipulation can profoundly alter the host's action, often favoring the parasite's life cycle rather than the host's well being. Examples of parasitic behavioral control in the animal kingdom. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis forces ants to climb vegetation and clamp jaws onto leaf veins before death. Purpose ensures optimal spore dispersal from elevated position. Another one invades snail eye stalks, causing them to pulsate brightly and attract birds. Completes life cycle by infecting avian hosts. So on and so on. Examples. Astral parasitism, the psychic equivalent. In spiritual traditions, parasitic forces similarly manipulate human behavior to fulfill energetic needs, often sexual, emotional, or attachment attention. Below are astral analogues. Definition. Animals exploiting host for nutrients or habitat. Fungi invading hosts causing disease or decomposition. Mystical parasitism involving energy spirit entities draining vitality. Typical hosts: vertebrates and invertebrates of the faunal parasites, fungal parasites, plants, animals, sometimes humans, astral parasites, humans or animals in folklore metaphysical context. Mode of infection: physical contact, spores, psychic connection, or astral introjection. Impact on host: mild irritation, tissue damage, fatigue, energy loss, mental disturbances. Life cycle: complex, spores germinate, speculative, covered elsewhere. Examples: tapeworm, lice sticks, rust fungi, athlete's foot, energy vamps, spirit parasites, or clusters of those fleshy things that are caused by trauma, biopsychological, pneumatic complexes, and so on. So many ways of developing it from within, from without, civilizational diseases, personal trauma, stress, all that. And apart from having psychological impact, it may have the impact on the whole energy system and developing such parasites, homegrown terrorists, so to say, or getting one from outside, from someone else, from out there, Astral, Fauna, and Flora, right? Control methods. That helps. Integrated neurokundalini and psychospiritual model. This section presents a synthesis linking neuroevolution, psychosexual energy, of phototronics, kundalini, and developmental psychology, spirituality into a layered framework. Evolutionary neurobiology, primitive to advanced, structured psychosexual energy centers, or the meridians that are prolonged into the soul craft, or Sahu, as Egyptians called it, Ka, the soul complex. Human developmental and psychospiritual archetypes. Layered psychoneural Kundalini axis, primitive to advanced. The psychoneural Kundalini axis links neurological structures with subtler energy dynamics as described in spiritual traditions. It is layered from primitive survival functions to advanced states of awakening or spiritual maturity of the soul, of the daimon, of the pneuma, of the spirit. So cross-domain behavioral manipulation, nature and astral analogs, predator, tiger, vampire, so inferior trauma energy drain, parasite, toxoplasma gondii, in cats sometimes, as base entity or addictive thought from sexual compulsions, impulsivity, fungus control of your cordyceps controlling ant, ideological religious possession or mind control entity, zealotry, rigid thinking, drought. Symbiotic hijacker, thought rates, inner critic thought. Sporefield, this is speculative, but the comparisons, you know what I'm about. Sporefield, hybrid, collective, morphic parasites, grouping, man-driven mass behavior, head mentality, egregores, and the denk forms within, emotional leeches. Primitive layer, basic neural foundations, brainstem and limbic functions regulate survival, instinct and reflexes, underlying survival consciousness. Intermediate layer, emotional regulation and energy activation. Advanced layer, integration and higher consciousness or development of a higher class of the soul or a daimon. Higher cortical functions and prefrontal cortex connectivity align with awakening of higher functionalities, both intellectual, spirited, and soulful. So, This neuron containing layers and psychospiritual functions, brainstem, and his reproductive organs, perineum, survival, lost bodily identity. For example, if a chaotes or a masturbates with all his energy blocked in the lower regions, he creates or attracts shadow creepy crawlies because it's a primitive nervous system. He activated the primitive nervous system, insects, reptiles, instinctual survival. Same goes for monks that do not properly transform their sexual energies, and they keep it down there. All forms of succubus, forms, sexy, fleshy ladies appear. They go, no temptation. It works that way. Limbic system. Lower abdomen, heart, manipura, emotion bonding, early mammals, social bonding. Neocortex and prefrontal cortex. Intellect, insight, spirited vision. Spiritual vision, humans, abstract reasoning, sushumanadi, spine base to crown and head chakra column transformation to form of insightful wisdom, integrated self-evolution that speeds up sometimes. Underdeveloped versus advanced psychoneural types. So, for example, males is svadhisthana, manipura dominance, sexual compulsivity, attachment to over masturbation, aggression. Female sexual emotional over identification, manipulation, signaling, fragmented energy to the reptilian core, the previous cortex, fight flight dominance. As I mentioned, spirit is speculative, but it may be well mapped if such is your will. I'm just giving you a general idea as a generalist. So, spiritual parasitism. Technological outgrowth, because without technology we are focusing on what exactly? Noosphère, hive, social engineering, memetic warfare, and an integrable model. So Noosphère, the global mind space where human thoughts, emotions, and memes circulate and evolve rapidly. Hive, social engineering, algorithmic orchestration of mass behavior through data surveillance, behavioral nudging, and collective pattern formation. Memetic warfare, use of viral narratives, disinformation, and psychological psyops as parasitic informational agents targeting cognitive vulnerabilities of society. This layer imposes new energetic challenges, and the previous ones also connect to it. So you have a farm of Japanese people connected to a virtual reality device watching porn as a psychological experiment. While they are very aroused, random Japanese sukuba connects to this group thing and sucks all the sexual energy to the point of tastiness. So now, examples of technological parasitism control: algorithmic echo chambers, amplify divisive content, reinforcing tribal entities, limiting worldview expansion, akin to ideological fungal parasitism. Viral disinformation campaigns exploit emotional triggers and cognitive biases to manipulate masses, similar to Astral psychic viruses. Surveillance capitalists harvest behavioral data to predict and control consumer or voter behavior. Digital dopamine platforms, social platforms engineered to hijack reward circuits, fostering compulsive usage and distraction, mirroring lust-based psychic parasite. Technological outgrowth. Noosphère by Vertansky until Deschadin, they were coining that this was in the Soviet era, and so on. So if we decide that that is completely natural, then we find a middle ground in which we try to integrate ourselves and not completely isolate, but approach it in a healthy way. In other words, pick your parasite or pick your cooperative entity. Anyway, know thyself. Everything in moderation, nothing in excess. Otherwise, you'll be just invaded by all of that. It is not everything like a virus. It's everything like nature. And astral natures, invisible natures, are as if reflecting what already is, and it goes much deeper. But to be aware of it is to know the methods also, how to approach yourself to be healthy as a human being despite this civilizational catastrophe. Thank you.